middle game, and an end game. And I'm going to cover the openings right now, and then I'm going to go over common problems in each of the games, so you can kind of just know what to avoid. All right. Well, the first thing you do in the opening is obviously get mobilized. Whether you're playing black or white, it makes no difference. Most people think that if you play white, you get the advantage. You do get the advantage at the first step, but it equalizes towards the middle game. Basically, in the front, what you want to do is you want to get your pieces moving. You want to develop your knights for the bishops. And the reason we do this is because you don't want the knights getting in the way of the bishops on the flanks, because the bishops go diagonal, right? So you got the bishops going diagonally, and you don't want the knights, blocking up your pawns. Because when you move up your pawns, you want to have some diagonal attacks. If you control a line or file, then you're pretty much set on that file, right? That's like your property. So when I play, I like to look for open files, especially in the beginning game, right in the opening. So I'm just gonna do this real fast. And so it doesn't matter what kind of opening. There's literally like thousands of variations on hundreds of different openings. And the important key thing to remember is you're not going to memorize them all. You're never going to do it. Nobody ever will. Unless you're like super genius. Hate speech. It's not speech, I told you. It's Clement. So the best thing to do is develop a sense of concepts, just like with anything you learn. So if you learn an opening, let's say, like you learn it doesn't matter what opening you are, but an opening has 6 to 8 moves. It's going to roughly consist of. Once you get out of those 8 moves, 8 or 10 moves, you're pretty much in the middle game. So there's not a lot to talk about in the beginning. So I say it's going to be pretty short. But the whole concept you got to remember is just get your pieces moving. You want to get your pieces moving. You want to develop a plan. A plan is the most important thing because it's a game of plans, pretty much. That's what it is. It's a game of attrition, right? So let's go over some common problems in the openings. Besides developing your pieces, you want to develop them. So you want to make sure your knights are moving. You want to make sure, your knights can hop. You want to be getting the center squares. You want to fight for the center. Anything on the side is usually pretty bad, unless you're forced to get on the side. Like a knight on the rim is dead. Everyone knows that, right? You don't want to get on the sides, because if you had an army, you're getting on the sides. You have the center's open, and the center's everything because the king and the queen start in the center, and that's how the game evolves. And that's pretty much it. There's not much to it. The pawns, you want to develop them in the center like this. So this is what I was doing. This is mostly how you want to have it. You want your knights defending the center squares. You want to have your bishops on the diagonals. That way, if he moves his knight over here, you can always just threaten him. And it's always a good idea to threaten pieces, whether you decide to take them or not. That's up to you. But it's always a good fundamental source to get your plan first, get your grounding first, and then once you got it, then you can start threatening things. Don't worry about the rooks right now in the middle game, because they don't come out to the middle game. So that's pretty much the only pieces that really move are the pawns, the knights, and the bishops in the opening. Let me see. Yeah, and you don't want to move any of your. There's something called castling. So if you're familiar with castling, king side and queen side, you don't want to move your pawns. Whichever direction you're going to go, just don't do it, unless you know what you're doing. But say you castle king side, you don't want to move these pawns. It's kind of like getting rid of your front door. You don't want to move until towards the end of the middle game or the end game. So that's pretty much it for the beginning. If you want to get really good at openings, you can get an MCO book. And Mike has told me the one I had here is outdated. Who's the new author? Mike?
It's the 15th edition of Modern Chess Openings by Nick DeFerman.
Nick DeFerman. Okay, so Modern Chess Openings. If you know how to read chess notation, my advice to you would pick 1 or 2 openings and stick with them. Like the Ruy Lopez, a really popular one. Or if you're black, you play the Caro defense, or Alekhein's defense. And like I said, it doesn't matter if you play white or black. It all equalizes depending on how you play. So that's pretty much for the opening.
Maybe you could teach clarify on like castling kingside and queenside, sure. And the en passants too.
En passants? Okay, sure.
Because there's a lot of misconceptions there, and people don't remember.
Okay, so you want to castle. The main concept of castling and the purpose of castling is to get your king hidden away and protect it, right? Yeah. You want to protect your king because if he's out there,
to mobilize your rooks.
Mobilize your rooks, right? You want to get your rooks in an open file. Like one of my favorite players is Mikhail Tal. He's the magician from Riga, and he was a very unorthodox player. He's only world champion once, but he had this system where he would just play recklessly. He looked like he didn't know what he was doing. But what he was doing was he was creating space so that way he could move his rooks out. So this is castling kingside. Once you have the G1 and the F1 square all cleared up, you move your king over 2 spaces, move your rook over, right? And this creates a pattern, so you can grab a file, right? I'll say this one was gone. You had it right here. If you castled, and for some reason you had a file, what do you want to do? Does anybody know? If you're in this position, regardless of what's going on here, what do you want to do with your rook? Right. You want to move it up to a file, right? They're kind of like watchmen, like security guards, You want to place them in your back ranks, and then I own this now. And anybody who comes in this is getting threatened. So your opponent's gonna avoid that at all costs. So that's castling kingside. Same concept for castling queenside, except that when you castle kingside, it means you did an E5 or E4 opening, which is the most common opening in chess, the most common first move, because it creates an open game. If you move your king's pawn up to the E4 square, it creates an open game, and that means everything's just out and scattered, and fine. But if you do this, and you just do just one move opposite, or with the queen, if you do it to you move your pawn to a D4 square, you get a closed game, meaning it's going to be really tight and it's going to be really complicated. So that's the difference between those. Keep in mind. So I would stick with the open games for now, because the closed games tend to get really complicated really quick. And this is pretty much the same concept. Castle and queenside. Move it over 2. And move your rook over, right? Let's say you had it up here. Now you're already in control of the files. That's the good thing. That's one of the bonuses of castle and queenside. Is you're already in control of the file when it moves in, because it moves past this C2 pawn. So that's pretty much that. So you guys get the concept, right? Now, en passant is a special thing. It means in passing in French. Do you guys see? Okay, so say he has his enemy pawn right there, right here, I should say. In passing means, and you can only do this once per game, so you got to make sure you're going to do it. Sometimes it never happens, because there's reasons why it doesn't happen.
You can do it more than once per game, but once the move is made, then you have to use that option.
That option, right? Yeah. So an en passant is, say you move it from the starting rank, your second rank. You move it up to the 4th rank, and now he has the option, like Peter was saying, to go ahead and just jump into the file. Once he jumps into the file, that's it. He en passant, and he took the piece.
But if you don't capture right away,
right,
then you lose your option.
You lose your option. That's right. So let's do another demonstration of that. So say he's down there, right? And it works both ways. Let's do it. So say he moves it right there, right? He meets it. You take the option. If you lose the option, you lose, right? But if you take it, you can take the pawn. You know, most people don't take it. I don't take it unless I have to. Unless I can see the free pawn. If it's a free pawn, I'll take it. But if not, I just leave it. What else did you want me to discuss?
That's it for now.
That's it for now? Okay. Well, let's get out of the opening. Do you have any questions about the opening? No, you're cool. It's pretty straightforward, right? Just pick a couple openings and move with them and get your concept going. The whole idea from opening to end game is you want to have a concept. Because you don't have a concept, you're going to fail. You need to have a plan. Even if you're getting attacked and the plan changes, the concept's always going to be the same. You know what I'm saying? To get the king, right? And that's the tough part of chess.